Hi, this is Jonathan. I wrote and directed this film and also star in it. As you will see in a moment, my name will pop up in your face right there. And there it is. And these are shots of Newton Dam, that location over there near the shooting area that they have there at Newton Dam. It was a beautiful area. I think it's gorgeous shooting. And we actually shot this part over 2 days. This scene that you see, stuff that you're seeing first is the stuff we shot on the first day we filmed, but it was super windy and so we had trouble with audio, so we had to come back a second day. What you see here is the second day footage, where it was less windy and we could actually hear what we were saying. And there's Natalie powdering all those pigeons, and we had trouble getting good shots of the pigeons exploding, and so actually we just had angle problems and seeing them close enough and stuff. So those 5 shots of the pigeons exploding were actually 3 different pigeon explosions, and because I used 2 of the 3 pigeon explosions twice, and it came out to 5, which you may notice if you look close enough.
Okay.
And there I am, very tired, because it's the second day that we filmed this, and I was exhausted, and every time I see this scene of myself, I think, wow, put that boy back to bed, because he looks so exhausted. And that truck behind me is Krista Brown's, and she was kind enough to do a lot of behind-the-scenes work, and that truck keeps popping in other places, so we kind of joked that it was Joey's truck.
You're just making that up.
Yeah, I am.
But Natalie was amazing. She, and there, cue the cows. There's cows in the background right there. It's kind of funny. But she actually had never acted in her life, and yet she pulled all this out of her, and I was really impressed for what she was able to bring.
Well, this was fun. Try again next time.
Yeah, pick it up at 5.
Sounds good.
Great.
And the music I really enjoy. Corey Reese did our music. She agreed to do it for us, and I was really pleased with what she came out with.
I'm surprised that
It was
you
a lot of fun,
and not me, since my
and
shot
she
is
was
so much better than yours.
really good to work with on that.
What was this you wanted to tell me?
That cow actually is Krista Brown's grandmother
I
provided it for us,
don't
and
think I can clean up your vomit.
it was a lot of fun that we were able to have that cow. We called it Hannah Heifer.
Hate fruit.
She was
Any
a
fruit.
friend of
Not true.
in our movie.
You ate most
We all
of
love
the
Hannah.
cake with strawberries.
That cow actually sat at my house for a few weeks so that we could practice with it, and my sister was always like, what is this big cow doing here, when her kids came over and they were like wanting to play with it. And she's like, what in the world?
Next time then?
Where'd this cow come from?
That sounds good.
Okay, pick it up at 5.
Okay, see ya.
And this actually was really dark in his this is Floyd Salisbury's house, and it was gracious enough to let us film in his house, and it was really dark through the lens. Like, all the lights were on, mostly, you know, not in the background of this shot, but all the lights were on, and it looked bright in there, but then when you look through the lens, it just was kind of dark for some reason. But I was able to lighten it, but it looks better now lightened. This scene actually is only in here because Natalie wanted to sing in the movie, and so this is how I was able to work in her singing. And when I originally thought of this scene idea, it was just going to be Vanessa comes out and she catches her, but then we later thought up of the character of Cade's character, that he could be her brother, and then I thought, why not just put Cade and Greg in it, and then it will be the whole family is listening to her sing accidentally. And there's Hannah Heifer reading her scriptures like a good little cow. We should all be good little cows and read our scriptures too. With glasses even. She has reading glasses.
And
What
honestly,
a good little heifer.
I will be fine.
This was actually so much fun to do. I love doing this scene. It was really late though. It was our last scene to do that night, so we got done at like, 11:15, 11:30.
I actually have never flipped a girl before while dancing.
And I thought it was fun to go to this emotional place of
You have an eye.
being a bit mad at each other.
And you?
And you? Have you ever flipped a girl while dancing?
Tell you, I'm allergic to crawfish, and And so when I ate that tonight,
Not
that's
true.
So it was fun to play off of Natalie, and we had fun doing this scene together. Even though we were so tired by the end, and
Sure. Okay.
been filming all evening.
But acting is exhausting, and going to these emotional places makes you tired.
Again, I am so
just
sorry.
go.
Just go! So mean! No, she's really good. I really liked it. And there's Ari. And there is Ari again. And Ari pops in again, behind the group of girls that sits on the ground. She's just as everywhere in this park scene. This is our ward scene. Without the ward, and oh my gosh, when I was playing with the kids, we were trying to film at Newton Dam earlier that day, and then we came over to the park and filmed at the park, and we were filming all day, and I was so stressed and tired, and when we were trying to get footage of me playing with children, I looked like a creeper, because I was just trying to get the shot done, because I was just in this go mindset, and then that scene of me playing with the kids was actually the last thing we filmed that day, because I was actually finally over everything and finally able to relax and actually be playing with children. And there's Ari in the background in the yellow bandana. And some of these shots we got Cade. Oh, and this is fun. There's Jared's shadow, which is fine. And there's also a tripod in the background. Our tripod is right there with the camera case, but oh well. Those are just some interesting things. And on the first take of this scene, Jared fell backward, which is in the bloopers, and it's kind of funny. I was kind of scared that he hurt himself, but he was alright, I guess. And this is at Newton Park, all of this park scene.
And those girls on the blanket, one of them, Ashley, had 3 lines. That was fun to have her in it. She was charming to work with.
And our ward had to be quiet while we were filming this, and they didn't really care much for doing that, because they couldn't play basketball because we get ball sounds of it hitting the ground. There's Cade in the background, even though he's in the next scene in his bathrobe at her house. And there's Natalie's house, that white house in the back. Natalie's house, not far from her home. Even though she goes back to her car, but that's because she's playing Sarah, in case you didn't know that.
Now you can stalk her.
Yep, what a special weird girl.
Jasmine, that is.
Get it, girl. Anyway, Aubrey brought a lot to that character. I thought she did a good job with bringing awkwardness to her. It was so much fun. And this scene is in Smithfield. I thought it was a beautiful spot along the side of the road where we could actually, and it was really quiet. There wasn't much noise. Sometimes there was lawnmowers we had to wait for, or there was cars going by, but otherwise it was a fairly quiet neighborhood, and it was really nice. And there is Steven. I was really surprised with what he was able to pull out. I was really impressed. Not surprised. I was impressed by what he was able to pull out, and I was really glad that he was able to join the project. And there she is. There she is acting strange, like a regular girl, because women act strange, as Steven said.
Mom?
Hi, sweetie.
Oh, and here's Vanessa. This is too funny. Originally I wrote this scene with Greg just watching TV and Vanessa's cleaning. And then I thought, well, let's give them something to do. Oh, yeah. Kate comes out and goes, oh, yeah. It's my favorite part in the whole movie is that little line. Like the Kool-Aid man.
I tried to tell him.
I told Kate just to come out and like primp in front of the window, and that's what he did.
I don't know.
It was great. But anyway, I wanted Vanessa and Greg to interact, and I thought this would be a great interaction for them. She is massaging his head. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. And they had so much fun doing it. And Greg said the next day that his head had never been softer than the next day after filming that, because it had been massaged and oiled and lotioned, and it was just nice on his head.
Take it from me. No woman
It was a lot of fun. I loved that. I loved filming that. All three of them in that house scene were so much fun to work with. What also was impressive about Steven is that he was sick that day. He felt really awful. Or pretty bad. He felt really bad. And when we arrived at the park, he was sitting in his car just trying to lay down and in his car waiting for us to come. He felt pretty sick. So I was really impressed with that. He was able to pull out this kind of performance with still feeling sick. At the festival, when he said that line, some girls in the back were like, "That's actually pretty good advice. She's acting weird, she's hiding something." Yep. And I was like, wow, okay. Good things come from the weird boy. And now the weird boy and the weird girl meet up, and they have a baby after they get married in the sequel, I'm sure. And I'm sure it's a weird baby, too. You'd probably call it Job.
I've prayed already. I've prayed lots of times. What am I supposed to do? Do I need to maybe hold a book of
Something interesting is that the stake required for us to do in our film is that we had to have a Book of Mormon as a prop. So there's the Book of Mormon, and then we had to have a scriptural character reference. So then that's why we referenced Job.
Should I stand on higher ground,
We had to have a group scene,
and
we get the park scene. We had had to have a group scene with as many board members as possible.
That'll raise me up.
And it had to be 7 to 10 minutes. We did a little bit more than that, but they said if you're ambitious you can do 2 movies, so we just did one long one. And so that's what we have, and we had to follow the guidelines of the For Strength of Youth pamphlet, which I feel like we did all those things. So go us. But when I wrote the script, this was the pinnacle moment. Oh, and there in the background you see Krista's truck again. And I really loved this part when I wrote the script, that I felt like this was so much fun to have her climb on her car. She gets so mad and frustrated that she climbed on top of her car.
I was just talking with my mom.
And when I wrote the script, it basically all just waltzed right into my head. I planned it out. It came to me about a week before I actually wrote it down. And the only thing I didn't really have figured out much were their dates at the beginning. Everything else I had figured out of what happens.
Let's take a walk.
And here I have my moment that always reminds me of Mitchell from Modern Family. The way I just look at her and the way I turn, I don't know why that character comes out of me, but that's what happened, I guess. And they were walking in step, and this line up here where she says, "Be the man!" My mom always likes to repeat that now whenever I'm like whimpering or complaining about something, or who knows. She likes to repeat it and tell me, "Be the man! Come on!" It's a favorite line of hers now. I've gotten a lot of flack for the line about my parts and being a husband, but in the original version of the script, the bishop, I gave it to the bishop, and the bishop asked me to either cut that line down and make it flow better, because it was twice as long as it is now, or to take it out if I couldn't make it work. And so I cut it down, and I felt like it was more appropriate and worked better for it, even though I've gotten flack about it and people think that it's inappropriate or whatever. I feel like it's necessary. When I look at the structure of the scene, I feel like that line is necessary, because it's the second peak of the scene, and the first peak is when they confess their problem to each other, what they've been needing to tell each other anyway for the longest time. And that's the first peak, and once that peak happens, if you don't have that line in there, then the movie just comes down and it just basically dies. And that's what everything amounts to. And it just leaves you with this emotional thing that they just confess to each other. And then if you have that line, then it brings back some humor, and it is a second peak. And if that second peak is going to be in there, it needs to connect back to that first peak. And so that line lightens the seriousness of what they just told each other.
Even though what he just said is very a serious thing that I think is good to have in there, because as a couple they would really talk about that, and it would be a major concern for them, especially with what was just revealed. So it seems like it's necessary and is very real. Plus, he could just like get diarrhea of the mouth because he's already revealed his big thing, and so that might just come tumbling out too because he's nervous.
In my mind, I feel like that line is necessary. And interesting enough, the only people who have given me flack about it have been men. No woman has actually come up to me and told me that they didn't like it. Only men have. I'm sure there is some women somewhere that probably won't like it, but so far it's just been men, which I think is funny and interesting. This is beautiful music Corey wrote. I'm glad you could listen in on hear what I've had to say about it, and thank you for watching and thank you for listening.